Hey everybody, welcome to Test Chamber, where we look at new games when Kyle Hilliard. Matt Miller is here.
Hey.
We're playing No Man's Sky, and the idea behind this video, I'm sure you've seen plenty of people playing No Man's Sky, maybe you've played it yourself, but what we're looking at here is late game content for No Man's Sky, which I'm personally kind of excited about. I've probably put about 10 hours into No Man's Sky, been having an okay time. Miller, you did our review. You've put a hell of a lot more time into the game than I have.
Yeah, many dozens of hours I've poured into No Man's Sky at this point.
So we're just gonna kind of look around and see what the game looks like when you've put a huge amount of time into it. You know, whether it's changed a lot, you have different things, you know things I don't know, and you're gonna tell them to me, but you're not gonna spoil things for me.
No, I mean,
plan.
I'm gonna try not to spoil things for you. There's not a lot to be spoiled about the game, unless, like, if you don't want to know about like new guns or something that you might get, or how many inventory spaces you could get. Maybe that's the thing that you want to jump ship now. But other than that, I think you'll be okay.
So what are you doing right now? You're selling off some stuff.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my inventory here a little bit. I think one of the big messages that I want to get off right off the bat is that, like, it's something that for me, there was this sense as I was playing the game that, like, oh, I'm kind of like going towards something that I'm eventually going to.
Oh my gosh, you know like 8 of his words.
I know a lot of words, right?
You know gra.
Yeah. Let's see. Storage falls at the warrior's feet.
Okay, so you haven't talked to this guy yet.
No, I haven't.
Bomb needs fuel for ignition. Ooh.
Plutonium.
Okay.
Maybe plutonium?
Yeah, I think so.
I bet it might be thallium, but I don't have any of that with me. It doesn't look like, so.
Okay. Ooh.
The pain is extreme.
Oh, gosh.
It turns out I was right. It was thammium, but we didn't have thammium with me.
You just took some shrapnel to the knee.
I took some shrapnel, but I've got pretty decent shield, so I'm wearing it here.
Yeah. So let's go check out your ship. Maybe check out the planet, I guess.
So let's, like I was saying, one of the big takeaways I think is that if you are 10 hours into this game, you really know the game. You may be thinking that you're waiting for some big reveal of something that's going to happen later, but that's not really the case.
Okay.
There is a main storyline that you're eventually going to be moving through.
And is that related to the Atlas stuff?
Yes, the Atlas stuff, which I've completed and moved many hours past that actually, but it's not like it's suddenly completely changing the game experience. It always is still about, I'm going to go to planets, I'm going to mine some resources, I'm going to meet some aliens, I'm going to scan some animals. There's not something that you're shooting towards. Now, I'll show you here just to illustrate the point. If we look here, I have gone to a lot of planets. And you can see here real clearly that at a certain point, very recently, I just stopped. I gave up on the whole naming thing. I was like, I've gone to a lot of places. Doesn't really matter anymore.
I think I gave up after like 3 hours of play.
Originally, I was naming things after like Greek heroes and gods and stuff like that.
Well, you actually had a system, it seemed.
I had a system
to kind of help you keep track of things.
Exactly. Right? And
hey, how come some of those are yellow?
Those are. Let's see here.
Because I've seen green and I've seen red.
Those are ones that were discovered by other people.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
I don't know that in my personal game, if I've discovered places that have been found by other people. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what that is. But you can look at my journey. I mean, if you're looking for a way to track the game, track your progress, you really should start paying close attention to your journey tab here.
Okay.
Right? This is where all those little milestones you get are followed through on, and you do need to kind of make progress through it in order to, you have to be at certain milestones before you can do certain steps in the storyline. Okay. The storyline, again, I don't want to overplay what it is. It's very simple and very straightforward, but it is something you want to kind of be going for. And so when you go through, you choose the things that you're most interested in to spend time on. Now, I've maxed out a lot of things here, right? You can't get higher than 10. I've done a lot of on foot exploration, met a lot of aliens,
Okay.
collected a lot of words. The things I haven't done quite as much of is starship combat. Even though I've done a lot of warping, 34 warps, that's still not totally maxed out. This I've barely done at all because it always seemed like kind of a weird and not especially fun thing to do.
You just hang out in a radioactive planet.
Yeah, I
kinda?
mean, ultimately, you're just trying to find. First of all, you have to find some planet that is particularly hazardous, and then once you're there, you're just trying to like stay alive for a really long time, and that didn't totally do it for me.
It's like going on vacation to just like a really dangerous city.
Yes. So I didn't spend a lot of time on that one, but that's okay because you can see I've hit Galileo max milestone overall.
Okay. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
And maybe you're going to get to this. So it says learned words there. You've
Yeah.
like maxed out your level 10 Babelfish.
Yeah.
But you can still learn more words.
Oh yeah,
right?
there's more words all the
Okay.
time. The fact that you've maxed out to 10 on any one of these doesn't mean that you're done.
Okay.
It just means that you by the way that the game tracks you, you are now like an expert at this thing.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Um
You're an expert walker.
I'm an expert walker now. But again, it's not like there's not some definitive endpoint. I mean, if in some ways that's the whole message of the game, right? It's about the kind of how big space is, how absolutely vast the universe can be. That's a big message of the game, and so it would, in some ways, even though we as gamers want there to be some sort of thing that we're shooting for, there's less of that here.
Sure. So I'd love to look at some of your like your inventory and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
So I'll talk to you a little bit about my philosophy with the inventory thing.
Let's hear it.
This is my starship inventory. Not very large.
No, not really.
I think
I would have assumed much larger based on how much you've put in the game.
Yeah. So here's my exosuit inventory.
That's much larger.
So different players, I think, are going to have different opinions about how to approach this particular topic, especially given that inventory management is one of the biggest like aspects of the game. In my review, I said it's the sort of centerpiece of the gameplay loop, which I stand by. I mean, I think the Hello Games has spent a lot of time making inventory management just a big thing that you have to deal with throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a point beyond which it's not important. And for me, for the way that I'm playing the game, I've now reached that point. One of the problems with ships is that they are really, there's one of two things you have to do. Either you go and buy ships from just traders that you meet, and they are very, very, very expensive, especially for the ones that you might want to get a high suit, like a 48 slot ship would be just inordinately expensive.
Miller, can I pause you real quick?
Yeah.
It looks like you're doing some kind of like long jump.
Yeah, that's something else I was going to talk about. I'll explain what that is in a second.
Okay.
Here. I'll finish my thought.
We'll
though.
circle back to it.
But suffice to say, the inventory thing, you can either buy those ships or you can find crash ships, but then you have to repair them.
Yes,
now
I found one of those.
Yes, both of those things involve a tremendous amount of farming right out of the gate, right? And that's what I did to get, when I was first starting, that's what I did to get the relatively modest ship that I continued to run with. And then I modded that ship out pretty significantly to play the way that I want it to. I got some good deflector shields on it. I like using the beam impact weapons, the phase beam weapons when I fight starships, so I really loaded up on that with this nice little +3 value thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was kind of, that was good for me. Like, it didn't feel like I needed a lot more because I actively was pursuing the suit upgrades, which you get by, a lot of people know this already, but you're sort of finding drop pods on planets. That's where you find the suit upgrades.
Yeah, usually shelters reveal those, right? When you use the scanners.
Yeah, so when you find that little, like, orange laser into the sky, that is, you can select that you'd like to find where a shelter is. And sometimes doing that just finds you a shelter, which is a particular kind of thing you can find. But often it will find you a drop pod. And drop pods give you suit upgrades. And suit upgrades get increasingly expensive as you buy them. But initially they're not that crazy, right? You're talking like 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000. I'm at the point now where if I want more, you're talking like 300,000 plus per slot.
Okay. But you can still keep going though.
Yep.
Let me see your screen again.
Yeah, I think it can go up to 48, and I'm at 42.
Okay.
But as you can see, I've got most of the major like minerals. I've got some of them in my inventory, either here or here.
Yeah.
And so like I said, there reaches a point and it's like, do I really want to spend that much more time and money on getting more inventory space rather than continuing to move forward with just doing what I want to do in the game?
Because otherwise you'd be just filling up with extra crap that you don't necessarily need.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's sort of about what you want out of the game, right? There is no definitive endpoint. If you decide that the way to beat this game is to max out your inventory space, then sure, you should keep farming. You should get a better ship. You should mod that ship to the way that you like it, the way that I have with mine, and you're good to go. But for me, I hit the point where it's like, you know what? I have all the suit inventory I need. I can keep a lot of stuff in there. I have Starship inventory holds more items, right? Like you can actually put a higher stack per slot.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. I didn't
so
know that.
It
Okay.
actually is a little bit better to use your Starship inventory. But I'm past that point that I was in so frequently in the early game, where I just was constantly running out.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I still kind of feel, even at about 10 hours in, and I've visited a lot of those drop pods, I still feel like I'm spending a lot of time dumping stuff and, trying to sell it. And,
Yeah. If you blow up this Sentinel, he looks like trouble to me.
It just looks like trouble. Have you seen any of those bipedal Sentinels?
I haven't.
Really? Wow.
Even this many hours in, I haven't seen any of those guys. I've seen lots of the quadrupeds.
Yes, I've seen those. Those show up pretty quickly on the planets where they're powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game to talk about, even when you're many hours in, because if you had played as much as I had, I bet you would see very different things than I have seen. Anyway, you had asked about the jetpack thing.
Yeah, it looked
right?
like you were doing like a special jump.
Yeah,
almost.
so this is one of the most important things, I think, to getting around on the ground that you have to pick up, which is that you start sprinting forward, then you melee like this. That's your melee attack. And then you jetpack right afterwards. So when you put it all together, it's like this.
Okay, it's like the Super Mario 64 long jump.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Okay,
You can go really far and really fast that way.
I did have I have been doing the sprint and then melee while you're sprinting. That I got down, but I have not tried throwing a jetpack in there, so I'm definitely going to start doing that.
It is super, super important. It's the main way that once you find a planet to farm, that you will end up farming planets. So for instance, let's say you find a planet where there's a bunch of really hostile sentinels. That's actually a pretty good sign. It frequently means that you're on a planet that has some rare material that can be picked up, and the sentinels are guarding it, right? And so when you get there, what you want to do is you do one of these old scan things like this, and you'll see on this planet there isn't any of this kind of stuff. But on a different kind of planet, you might have some green exclamation marks that show up. And if you do, those are rare materials that you can go pick up, and they will be all over that planet. Problem is, every time you pick one up, there's going to be sentinels who swarm you.
Okay. I've encountered a few of those. Like I found like these like little pearls.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Exactly. For me, I found one of the plants I did a lot of farming on had a bunch of gravitino balls.
Okay. Sounds like a delicious
A little snack.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can make a lot of money. I would make about 600,000 credits or units every time I did one of those farming runs on this planet. But when the sentinels swarm you, what you got to do is you use the jetpack leap thing like this
Get
get away, and that way you can farm quickly rather than fighting them all. I think that's one of the keys to making money quickly.
Gotcha. What do you think? Is there anything else we want to show off?
Well, I wanted to show you something else that just to give you a little bit of a sense of like where you're heading towards. Yeah. I'll warn one more time. Again, this is not like totally spoilery, but I'm going to go show off an aspect of the game that you don't start to encounter until a little bit later in the game.
Okay.
So again, if you want to jump ship, you should feel free to do so.
And it looks like you've got in the L1, R1 there up top, you have more ways to look at the map than I do, which is interesting.
Yeah, so those are just new waypoints, right, that I've gotten.
Okay.
But you'll note that because of a thing that I have done in the late game, I can now see this.
So what are we looking at here?
Analysis, black hole.
Oh, okay.
So if we go here, because I know where black holes are now, just has to do kind of with getting through the story and all that kind of stuff, I now have a much faster way to be making my way towards the center of the galaxy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now, mind you, that it's not like this. It's not a traditional game where you're trying to get to the end, right? I've finished the story, right? And at that point, it's a totally viable choice to just kind of keep wandering around the galaxy, which is what I've been doing. I've been getting new technologies that I want to get, improving my gun, seeing new planets, scanning new animals, improving my milestones. But if you're really fixated on I want to go to the center of the galaxy, then this is your path to do it.
Oh, this is cool. Okay, so are there any planets around here?
There are. So this is a normal system otherwise. I can do a little system scan, and there's a space station here if I want to go to it.
Okay.
That's right over here. And I can do stuff in the system, but these systems are very rare. And so having the ability to sort of find them is a big deal.
Okay.
And again, one of the reasons why you'd want to be getting all the way through the story. And without ruining anything about that story, I will tell you that it's really important that when you start getting Atlas stones, you need to hold on to your Atlas stones.
Don't sell your Atlas stones.
Do not sell your Atlas stones. Big mistake.
Okay.
Even though they're worth a lot of money, don't do it.
So we are going into this thing.
We're going to do it. You ready for this?
Yes.
Yes. It's not. I promise. It's not.
Wait, no, hold on.
It's not gonna. It's not gonna change anything about your understanding of the game, really.
Sure.
It's just that what this is a different kind of warp.
Okay. And I guess this doesn't use you don't have to build your warp drive fuel and stuff. And
you don't.
Does it take you further than just?
It does.
Okay. Right.
So
which is what you said.
Exactly. So this is why you would be, if you're trying to get to the center of the galaxy, you'd use these black holes. And each time you go through, it gets you. It throws you sort of a random direction, but always a direction that gets you a little closer to the center of the galaxy.
So you won't, even though it's a little random, you're not going to lose progress.
You're not in my experience, no.
Okay.
And so that is engaging attack ships.
Oh my god.
Cool.
Well, there was a distress signal going on here.
Yep.
Oh man,
we'll do a little fighting.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that was something I was going to bring up.
Phase being critically damaged.
Uh-oh.
We may not be doing some fighting. In fact, we may be doing some dying because that's my main weapon.
Uh-oh. When did it break?
So that's one of the other things about the black hole thing is that your ship always gets damaged in the process.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so
it isn't just I gotta bounce to this black hole, this black hole,
and so
this black hole.
As you continue going through, the loop becomes that you warp to an area where there's a black hole, but then you go through the black hole, you take damage. One of your systems is critically damaged, and then you eventually you need to repair that.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Eventually, you'd be so damaged that it wouldn't make sense to keep going.
Okay. So so that black hole journey that probably just took out one aspect of your ship, but if you just kept going.
If I kept doing that, that would be the path towards the center. And the damage that it does to your ship from a gameplay design perspective is built to make you stop along the way and continue to do some farming of materials and all that kind of good stuff.
You cannot beeline in No Man's Sky.
Not in my experience. There may be things that I'm missing about the latter game that I haven't seen yet, because I've taken on this path of what the game presents as a very viable option, which is just you could just go wander now for a while if you want to. And that's a lot of what I've been doing.
Yeah.
It's just I'm going to go get some more words. And that kind of thing.
It's also a product of just the procedural generation, the random nature of the game. That like it's hard to say like the answers to that question definitively.
Yeah.
Like, is this always how it will be? It's like, well, not necessarily. Like,
Yeah.
This is No Man's Sky.
That's right. So I think that gives us a pretty good glimpse of the late game stuff. As I said at the beginning, the late game stuff isn't dramatically different from the early game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You need to shift to best enjoy the game. I think there's a required shifting of your mindset a little bit. It's a pretty cool looking ship.
Yeah, you should go buy that. I saw that you had like $3 million. Throw money at that kind of stuff, man.
I know.
You're like a billionaire in No Man's Sky.
It's like a dragonfly ship.
But it's
I love
actually
it.
pretty cool. But yeah, you're right. That's cool. It was cool for me as someone who's about 10 hours in to kind of look ahead and see like where someone who's played a lot more. So thank you for showing me around your section of the galaxy or solar system.
No problem.
Universe.
Well, there you go. And you can see, by the way, almost 4 million units to buy a ship that's just a little better than mine.
Hey man, that's 2 more slots.
I'm probably not going to do that.
I don't blame you.
But anyway, yeah. I think if you are into that kind of aimless wandering thing, you like just the idea of slowly improving and learning some new languages and having these alien encounters, there's a lot of things to enjoy about No Man's Sky. I still feel the way I tried to express in my review, which is that the whole thing does kind of feel like one big side mission sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And our review, of course, that you're referencing is on the site, so you can go check that out.
It is indeed.
And this is another one. I haven't opened any of those doors.
I know. I have.
So
this was the last thing I was going to show you
here.
here. The Atlas Pass version 1. When you do eventually get it, totally worth it because there's suit upgrades in here.
Oh, cool.
Super handy.
Awesome.
So that's all I got for you, Kyle.
Well, I appreciate it, Miller. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.